Kwon first then.
Yes, sir.
I know already I'm reading your essay many times, and how you cope with your most typical time, how that apply for the Taekwondo training?
Just training in general, coming to the dojang and working out gives me calmness and clarity, peace of mind, lets me forget about my problems for a while, and also puts things into perspective for me. There's nothing that I've gone through that is so terrible that I can't get up and fight another day.
Tell me about a little bit of history of Taekwondo.
Sir,
Not reading the
long version, sir?
Not 20 pages.
Taekwondo evolved from earlier Korean martial arts called Tae Kwon and Subak. The earliest evidence is found in warriors' tombs dating as far back as the year 3 AD, where murals painted on the walls of the tombs depict men engaged in Subakai fighting. It's derived from various fighting styles developed by the three rival kingdoms of Koguryo, Pakchi, and Soa, where young men were trained in combat techniques to develop strength, speed, and survival skills. While Subak was primarily a leg-oriented art in Koguryo, Soa's influence added hand techniques to the practice. In fact, warriors of Soa's Wodong youth group proved its effectiveness throughout great periods of the 5th and 6th centuries, defeating armies from the opposing kingdoms. In 668 AD, Soa conquered Koguryo and Pakchi with the help of China's Tang dynasty, creating the unified Soa period. This was a golden age for Korean culture when Buddhist art influence flourished. In 918, the Koryo dynasty began, solidifying this unification once and for all. During this period, army cadets who excelled in martial arts could be promoted to military officers by competing for their positions. Some scholars say that because of the judgments and standards that govern these competitions, Taekwondo sport originated at this time. It was also during this period that the name Koryo evolved into Korea. Centuries later, during the Yi or Chosun dynasty, which was the last great Korean dynasty, Confucianism became the basis for the entire government. Martial arts fell out of favor as Koreans sought more intellectual and artistic endeavors, and then martial arts became mainly a tool of the military. In 1910, Japan forcibly occupied Korea, dissolving the Korean military and banning the martial arts as well as other cultural activities, including the language, in an effort to destroy the national identity. Some Koreans fled to China and Manchuria, where they were exposed to those countries' styles. Those that remained either learned Japanese styles, while others fled to the mountains, lived in seclusion, practicing and keeping alive their traditional styles. When the occupation ended in 1945, Korean martial arts schools, or kwons, began to open under various influences. There's much debate as to the origin of the styles taught in these schools. Some say it was based primarily on Tae Kwon and Subak. Others say there was influence from other countries, while still others argue that it was mostly Japanese techniques. By the mid-50s, 9 kwons had emerged, and South Korean President Ri ordered that these schools unify under a single system. The Korean Taekwondo Association, or KTA, was formed during the years 1959 to 1961 to facilitate this unification. The name Taekwondo was introduced by General Choi Hong-hee of the Odo Kwan. Shall I go on, sir?
You're almost like history teacher of Korea. Let's see what I can ask you. You got quite a bit of reading and the memorization for the history of Korea and all that, and the Taekwondo helped you great deal of that. Reading the USA, everything, and you get great deal of benefit. How you explain to youngsters what is they look at it as a Taekwondo as a guideline of their journey of their life? How you can description to give to them?
Well, sir, in this day of video games and other distractions, that's a difficult task. But I find that being a good leader, leading by example, knowing every bit of technique up to my belt level, and being able to show patience and ability while instructing the younger children is super important. Making it fun is also important, I think, for the younger ones. But if you can make them understand about some of the history of Taekwondo and the struggles that these great figures in Korean history went through, and try to maybe put it in words that they can relate to, that it might help them take it a little more seriously. And there's no doubt that every child I see coming up through Taekwondo does better in school and just turns out to be better people in general because of it.
Okay, everybody, stand up! Sir! Turn you up!